Good evening, everybody. How are we? Welcome to this evening's TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube live. Hope you're all good. Hope you've all had a good day. Had a good busy day. Nice productive day. It's Monday. We're still. Let me put my light on. It's a bit dark. It's Monday. We are still fighting the good fight of weight loss. Yeah, that's exactly what we are doing. We're still giving it our best shot. 2 weeks, 2 full weeks to go. Then it's Christmas week. Anyway, it's been a good day for me today, to be honest with you. I have been fighting it a little bit, and I think I'm going to be now until I sign off for Christmas. Well, certainly probably this week, if I'm being honest with you. I'm kind of semi signing off this week. I'm not 100%, but I'm next week's going to be more maintenance week. I'm going to still try and be in a deficit this week, but next week's going to be more maintenance week. And then the week after is a definite surplus week. Anyway, but we've stayed in tune today, been intermittent fasting today, done the old IF. I haven't. People call it intermittent fasting. I just call it, I didn't eat any breakfast. So I literally, what have I done today? I didn't have any breakfast. We went to the gym. We did a few bits and pieces. Went to get the old mop chopped. And I had my lunch. I was late. It was about 1:30. So I technically did a 16. The last thing I ate in bed last night was at 9:30. So I've done a 16-hour fast. And I've just had 2 meals today. I had my lunch and I've had my tea, sausage mash, onion gravy, Yorkie pud, loads of veggies. Absolute pucker. Am I eating evening snacks? Damn right I am. Intermittent fasting. What a load of tosh. Anyway, there we go. Right, let me do... Oh, I need to pull my phone in. Hang on. Otherwise, the TikTok live ain't going to be very long. Phone's in. Right, we're all good. Right, let's do the top 5 this evening. Let's see who's in on TikTok. The top 5 is exclusively for TikTok, basically because on YouTube and Facebook I don't get 5 people really. Anyway, I get a lot of views off YouTube though, so I don't actually get loads of people watching it live. But when I look back like this, and this is another advantage of doing it on having this restream where it saves. So the live from this morning has had 38 rewatches throughout the day, which is good. Because A, I get paid for if you watch it, and B, it just means that if you guys are if you sort of can't tune into the live, whether it's TikTok, whatever, you can watch them, go and watch them back, basically. Anyway, right, let's do the top 5. Come on, you're faffing about, Neil. Sheila's in at number 1. Jodie's in at number 2. Faye is in at number 3. Dodsy's in at number 4. And Big Tom is in at number 5. Guys, as always, if you've jumped straight on the live or just caught that it's just flashed up and said that around, you come on and said hello. I appreciate it. Who else is in this evening? Helen's in. Good evening, boss. Good evening, Helen. Cam's in. Evening, pal. Evening, mate. Did you manage to work out my cows? I haven't, Cam. Just send me a little WhatsApp refresh, which I won't read, so it means I've got to action something. So if anyone WhatsApps me, I don't touch it until I'm going to action it. So just send me a little... It can just say calories, Cam. It doesn't need to be anything. Or it can just be, oi, Nob, he said you're going to work out my calories. Can you sort it out for me? Just something like that, mate. Just send it over, and I will do it tomorrow. I shall do it tomorrow for you. I'll do it in the morning, mate. I don't think it's going to be massively different than what you're doing now, but just send me a reminder. Calorie stacking, mate. Very polite, you Cam. You could have been a lot worse than that. That's very polite. Yeah, Cam, I will sort it out first thing in the morning, mate, for you. Donna, good evening. Alison Dobson, good evening. My deficit is 1,416. Today I binged with 2,789. If I have 1,238 calories for the rest of the week, is that okay? So first of all, right, you haven't binged, you've just overeaten, right? I assume you've just overeaten, all right? So basically, stop using the word binge when you overeat, all right? There is a little bit of a fine margin somewhere, but most people say, I binged today. I was like, no, you're probably just overeating. Now, first of all, right, you've probably overeaten today because you're trying to eat 1,460 calories. So, first of all, why have you eaten 2,789 today? Is there any, you might be like, yeah, it was my work's Christmas dinner and we all went out for Christmas dinner, or, my work did a buffet or something like that. What was the reason? It could just be general emotional eating. I don't know. What was the reason for eating 2,789? Right? And then when we know the reason of why you've had a higher calorie day today, that's all you've done, right? You've just had a bit more of a higher calorie day. We can then put a plan into place to make you feel better about it, right? I mean, first of all, why are you only eating 1,460 calories? Absolute crazy low amount of calories. Barely enough for a kid, let alone an adult that hopefully has a fairly decent level of movement. So let's get a little bit more info before I give you any advice. In it, mate, on train home now. Been a class day. Train was delayed home, but not that busy. That's all right, mate. That's all right. Take the quiet train. You can chill out on your way back. Neil, if your protein bar is 180 calories but only has 10 grams, is it worth eating? Yeah, all right. So, is it worth eating? Yeah, it is. Look, we look at protein when we're looking at something being a good source of protein, right? We kind of want 10 calories, right? 1 gram of protein per 10 calories. So if something is 120 calories, we want, we'd like 12 grams of protein. Now, 10 grams isn't a million miles away, but that's just a rough guide for certain things. Just because something doesn't quite have that 10-to-1 calorie profile doesn't mean it's a bad product, doesn't mean you shouldn't eat it. If you're literally like, right, I need to get my protein up today, would I go for something that has, 1 gram of protein for 20 calories? No, I probably wouldn't. I'd look for a more denser form of protein, like a protein shake, something like that. But, there's other factors that play into it. For example, that protein bar might only have 10 grams of protein for 120, which is absolutely fine. For a protein bar, that's pretty decent. You're never really going to get much more than that from a protein bar, considering it's got a bit of chocolate in there and a few other bits and pieces. But then we look at something else. Does that protein bar taste good? Does it take away a sweet craving? Does it have less? So what's your alternative? Well, my alternative is having a Kit Kat, right? Or having a Cadbury's mini roll, which is 120 calories. Well, that Cadbury's mini roll, if the protein bar is going to take away the sweet craving the same as the Cadbury's mini roll, but it's also going to give you 10 grams of protein instead of 1, right? So it's better for you. It's probably going to have more fiber in it, right? It's probably going to have less sugar in it, right? So there's other little factors we need to look at. When it comes to a protein bar, for me, I kind of treat a protein bar similar to a meal. So when I'm looking at an individual item, a whole food maybe, as it were, sometimes I will look at maybe slightly different to this. But, when I'm looking at a yogurt, or I'm looking at an egg, or I'm looking at meat or fish, I want at least 10 grams per thingy. That's because it's a one ingredient item, as it were. If I'm looking at an item that's not a one ingredient item, like a protein bar or a meal, like you buy a ready meal, you might buy a ready meal and it might have protein plastered on the front of it, right? But it's also going to have carbs in there. It's also going to have fat in there as well as protein. So I look for 0.7, right? So I change that ratio a little bit. So I look for 0.7 grams of protein for 10 calories. So, for a ready meal, for every 100 calories, I want 7 grams of protein. So if a ready meal is 400 calories, right, and I get 28 grams of protein, I'm all right with that. And I kind of use the same ratio with a protein bar. So, yeah, it's absolutely fine. I'm 20 years old and TDEE recommended 1460. Today was my day of work, so maybe that's the reason. Look, at the end of the day, what you need to understand with a free online calorie calculator is there's a reason why they're free. They're only ever going to give you a rough ballpark figure. Now, I'll be honest with you, you've either entered your information wrong into TDEE, or if it is coming up that your deficit is 1,460 calories, you either need to move a bit more or you don't actually need to lose weight. When we go on to these online calorie calculators, yeah, they're only going to give you a rough ballpark figure, but it's still a rough ballpark figure. It can be probably, let's say, 20% out. Well, at 1,460 calories, 20% means you're either at 1,100 or at 1,700. That is still pretty low, right, for a deficit, yeah? So, it sounds to me like, that's just too low. I don't have any. I think my lowest client at the moment is on 1,650 calories. And that client, that's for weight loss, and that client weighs just over 10 stone, right? And they don't really need to lose any weight, and they sort of flick around between calorie deficit and calorie maintenance. But if they were in a deficit, they're on 1,650, right? And they only generally put themselves into a deficit if they come back from holiday or they have a bit of a celebration or something like that, So, it's just, yeah, I don't know why people feel like they need to starve themselves. And this is why you've really got to take these online calorie calculators with a massive pinch of salt. You do, What determines how low or high someone's deficit is, i.e. body weight and type, etc. For me personally, other coaches might have different balances with this. For me, I look at their calorie burn to determine. I don't really look at how much they weigh, how much they move in an initial calorie deficit front. I literally look at what they burn. So I generally put most of my clients in a 500 calorie a day deficit, right? 3,500 calories a week. And for most people, that is a healthy, sustainable amount. You're cutting out 500 calories a day below your maintenance, which isn't ridiculous. Now, what I'll tend to do is, and for me, I very rarely put clients under 1,700 calories. That's kind of like my cutoff point. So if I work out the calories for someone and based off their current weight, height, age, sex, and movement, I put them into a 500 calorie deficit and that goes below 1,700, right? There are some exceptions, like the person I just said there, then I would make their deficit smaller. Now, if they're on my one-to-one plan, I generally won't make their deficit smaller because initially when they come on, I might give someone someone might come to me and say they're 14 stone and they do 6,000 steps a day, right? And that means their current calorie burn, right, is 2,100 calories a day. That makes their deficit then 1,600. I would actually give them 1,900 calories a day. Why? Because they're coming on plan with me, I will increase their movement so that in a few weeks, 1,900 calories will be their deficit. So there's not one heightened rule. There isn't one heightened rule, not for me. I just use my own experience. I've worked with thousands of people, had lots of success with people having weight loss journeys. So, likewise, if I get a client that comes I never give a client more than 3,000 calories. So that's kind of like my boundary, 1,700 to 3,000. So if I get a client that comes to me and they burn 5,000 calories a day, right, they'll be in a 2,000 calorie a day deficit, right? They'll lose 4 pounds a week in body fat. But generally someone that burns 5,000 calories a day, right, they're going to be pretty overweight. Right, so they can handle the heavier we are. Generally, the more calories we burn on a day-to-day basis, so they can handle being in a bigger calorie deficit. So there's no hard and fast rule. I look at someone, I look at their history, and I go, yeah, for their current movement, their current weight, 500 calories a day deficit's too restrictive for them. So I'll put them in a 250 calorie a day deficit. Likewise, do I get clients that aren't that overweight but have a ridiculous amount of movement? Yeah, I had someone that come on the other month, beginning of November. And a gentleman, he was 15 stone, 6 foot tall. So he's probably got 28 pounds to lose at the most, depending on how lean he wants to get. So he's got 28 pounds to lose. But he averages 15,000 steps a day and he trains 6 days a week. He absolutely loves his training. He's just a bit of a bigger person, basically. And because he does so much movement, he burns, like, I've got him on 2,800 calories a day and he burns 4,000 calories a day. So I've got him in a 1,200 calorie a day deficit. Now that's £2 a week. He can smash that, that 2 stone weight loss in 3 months. 3 months he can drop 2 stone. But he's got a ridiculous amount of movement. It's very, very rare someone comes on board that moves that much, Quick one from YouTube. Hi, is it okay to graze on your food throughout the day rather than having 3 square meals a day with treats? Look, you can eat your food whichever way you want to. It doesn't make a difference. It really, really doesn't. When calories are matched, fat loss is exactly the same. And that's the kind of the beauty of my plan. Now, when people come on my plan, I do give them a calorie structure. So I sort of say, look, this is the amount of calories I recommend that you have for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then I give them a snack pot as well. But in all honesty, if your calories are 2,000 calories a day, right? That's your calorie deficit, yeah? Whether you eat 6 300 calorie kind of meals stroke snacks and then a 200 calorie snack at the end of the night, or you have 4 500 calorie meals, right? So you might have a 500 calorie breakfast, a 500 calorie lunch, 500 calorie early tea, and a 500 calorie supper. It really doesn't matter when you eat those calories. When calories are matched, fat loss is fat loss at the end of the day. So you eat your calories, what suits you, Sometimes, like tonight, I was absolutely starving tonight. And I was like, I need a massive volume tea. Sausage, mash, little Aldi Yorkshire pudding, 200 grams of carrots, 100 grams of tender stem broccoli, 100 grams of leeks. I had a kilo of food for my tea tonight. A kilogram of food, 2 pounds of food. My plate weighed an absolute ton. But I needed that volume because I was hungry, right? Whereas some nights I'll have my tea that's 500 calories and then I might have more snacks in bed. My tea wasn't high calorie today either. Lauren Wilson and Lauren Craven. 2 Laurens in. Good evening. Hope you are good. How much can you lose in 1 month and 1 week, bro? For me personally, I'm not even going to answer that. And I'll tell you why. Because I coach healthy, sustainable weight loss. And if you've got a goal that's just 5 weeks away, like it's not mine. It's not mine. Bag that. Look, I coach £1 a week weight loss. So if you look at my philosophies to weight loss, you lose £5 in that time for body fat. Right? But people that tend to ask, how much can I lose in a month? They're wanting to can I lose a stone in a month? Can I lose... anything's kind of possible. A stone of body fat, that's a pound of body fat there, right? For Facebook and YouTube, it's a bit blurry, but there we go. That's a pound of body fat there. For TikTok, that's a pound of body fat there, right? And, a stone of body fat, 14 pounds, has 49,000 calories in it. Right? So if you burn 49,000 calories in a week, impossible for most people to do, and eat absolutely nothing. Again, pretty impossible for most people to do. Well, I'd say for everyone to do, right? You could technically lose a stone in a week, right? And if you did that for a month, please don't do this. This, disclaimer, I'm not recommending anyone does this, but, you can lose anything. It's all about maths. I'm just asking because I'm on a 1-year journey, but I just want to know. Well, like I say, the way I coach weight loss, fat loss, £5. That's the target that we'd be at. Is NutriCheck calorie deficit estimation accurate enough to follow? Not really. Look, all online calorie calculators, and I don't know why, but NutriCheck and MyFitnessPal, their calorie calculations seem to be one of the worst. NutriCheck's the best calorie tracking app on the market. It's absolutely fantastic. But, they're just their calorie calculators just aren't great at all. They always seem to be very, very pessimistic, very low. Give people really low amounts of calories. But, MyFitnessPal actually gives you the option to ask them how much you want to lose, which absolutely drives me wild. I think NutriCheck does as well. And they say, loads of people say, I want to lose £2 a week. And this is why you get a really low amount of calories, right? And it's just not healthy or sustainable, you know. I've done 28,000 steps today. My legs are dead. I bet, mate. James, you do some serious movement, mate. You really, really do. You tried the gingerbread grenade bars. Got a box from Costco the other day. I haven't actually. They are in. I think I can say this now. I think everyone, yes. So everyone that has bought a Boshy protein box has got their Christmas Boshy protein box. And the grenade gingerbread bar is in December's Boshy protein box because it's a bit of a Christmas themed box. I haven't had one this time. They weren't out last year. They were out the year before. I have eaten loads of them in the past. I'll buy them in January. Why will I buy them in January? Because any stock that's left over in January will go on sale. That's when I first tried them. I went to, I think it was M&S about 2 years ago. And I didn't try one. And I went in January and they were 50p each in M&S and I bought about 10 of them. They used to be really good. I assume they're exactly the same as if they were. Right, let me scan down and see if I missed anything. Lost 25 kilograms, but still got a belly, and it's getting me down. Look, at the end of the day, we can't spot target fat loss. It comes on where it comes on, and it comes off where it comes off. Now, the tummy area here seems to be one of the last places we lose or we see that fat loss. You will have lost fat off your tummy. And when you say you've got a belly, look, unless you get extremely lean, you're always going to have a tummy. There's nothing wrong with that. That's natural, right? 6 packs and all these lean abs and all that isn't natural, right? Most people that have a 6-pack showing or very flat stomachs have a very low amount of body fat, and they generally don't maintain it all year round. Now, don't get me wrong, you can get people that have 15, 16% body fat, and just with the right lighting and the right pose, you'll see a 6-pack. You know, it's like someone that holds their arm out there. You're like, oh, you've got no muscle. And then they do that, and next thing they've got a bicep. So you can make them exposed. But, you know, having a bit of a tummy is natural. It's not an unnatural thing. Now, if you've still got high levels of visceral fat, so you've got a belly, right? Look, that's means you probably still need to carry on your journey and lose some more body fat, right? But once you get to your target weight, if you've still got a bit of a tummy, why do you want rid of it? Like, why have we got to a point in society where we're beating ourselves? You've lost 25 kilograms, which is like 60 pounds, right? Which is over 4 stone in weight. You might have hit your goal, yet you're still unhappy because having a tummy is normal. Not having a tummy is not normal. So why do you want to be not normal? Does that make sense? You know, now, like I say, how many calories does 10,000 steps burn? All subjective, relative to the individual. So for me personally, 10,000 steps burns about 600 calories, right? But I weigh over 19 stone. For someone that weighs 12 stone, it's going to be a lot less. For someone that weighs 30 stone, it's going to be a lot more. Likewise, we have to take into fitness levels, right? I'm pretty fit and healthy, so my walking heart rate's about 90 to 95 beats per minute. If you're unhealthy and you go for a 30-minute walk, your walking heart rate might be 120, 130. When I was 37 stone, my resting heart rate was 90, 95. Now it's my walking heart rate, you know? So you can't really, you know, it's all down to an individual, you know? What's your thoughts on the Hex sausages? I love them. I don't mind Hex sausage. I find they're a bit dry. Like with any chicken, like chipolata, very low fat product, fat adds flavour. It also adds moisture. Excuse me. So very similar to the 5% fat beef burgers. I love a 5% fat beef burger. And the ones from Aldi are really good, the Ashfields ones, because they do add a bit of seasoning in. They put a little bit of onion in as well to try and judge them up. But fat is flavour. So you have to add flavour to them. And that's what I kind of find with the Heck chicken sausage. So I don't dislike them by any means, but I can, if you overcook them, if you just go that little bit too far, they're like cardboard. So I normally cook them I preheat my air fryer 200 for 2 minutes. Then I put them in and give them another 8. And that seems to be about right. But then I'd eat them sliced up, maybe on a bagel or on a barm with a cheese slice and a little bit of barbecue sauce or something like that. Just having them if you have them like on an English breakfast, or if you just have them like with sausage and, I mean, they're not terrible, but there's just ways to eat them for me. Like I dice them up and put them through baked beans to make like my own version of a higher protein beans and sausage. Smashed a 30-minute run today. Cal's on point. Great to hear, Cam. Loving that, mate. Let me scan down. What's the best way to work out your deficit? My community. Now, you might be like, well, you're going to say that, Neil, because you want to earn money. Yeah, I do want to earn money. This is my job, right? But I literally charge £5. It's not like I'm charging you 50 quid to work out your calorie deficit. And for a £5, you get a month's access to my community. So if you want me to work out your calories, and it'll be the most accurate calorie allowance you've ever had, right? It'll be any other person that's worked out your calories for you, any online calorie calculator, mine will be more accurate. Mine's right. Well, how can you be so? Well, other people are saying that. Yeah, but I guarantee there's not many people that have personally. I personally work out calories in a calorie calculator that I have written myself, right? That I have tweaked over the years of working with thousands and thousands of people, right, and calculating calories. I've had over 700 people sign up to my one-to-one plan. I've had over a couple of thousand people over the last 2.5 years come in and out of my community. So I've worked out a lot of calories. So, and literally TikTok profile, click on my link tree, third tab down is my community. And for £5, you get a full calorie breakdown. You get a guide from me to bossing your weight loss. You get a full month's access to my community for a £5. Right, and if you're not willing to spend that to get an absolute bob on calorie allowance, then you're not serious about losing weight. And I'm serious about that. You can go faff around with your free calorie calculators, but then you'll come onto my live and go, "Is this right? Is that right?" You don't need to do that. Chuck a £5 in, get your calorie breakdown. You know it's right. Then it's down to you to stick to it. Yeah. So TikTok profile, click on my link tree, third tab down. You can send over an inquiry form if you want. Hi Neil, send you on TikTok. Can you send me some details? I'll ping them over to you. Or you can just third tab down, take it straight to my website, sign up to the community, use code WELCOME at checkout. It's normally $9.99 a month to join my community. It's a £5 for your first month, right? If you want to stay in, it's a £10 after that. If you want to leave straight away, leave straight away. That's up to you. There's no contract. Yeah. Is it £5 a month afterwards if you want to stay part of the community? No, it's $9.99. So it's introductory. £5 for your first month. That's just a little introductory offer, half price. Come in, have a little look. I used to do a free trial for a week, but I didn't work out your calories. And then if you signed up after a week, then I'd work out your calories for you. I don't do it now. I just charge a flat rate of a £5. Yeah, I'm going into 2 years with you, Jan. Yes, Cam. Cam's an OG. Cam is an OG. He's been working with me a long time, 2 years. So yeah, so it's a £5 to sign up to the community. That's for your first month. If you're staying after that, it's $9.99. It's not expensive, right? But there's no contract, so you can chuck a £5 in, get your calories, and if you want to leave straight away. That's absolutely fine, right? Great, thank you, Charlotte. Not a problem at all. Best thing I did was join you last year, almost 4 stone down. Donna, yes, Donna started just over a year ago. About this time last year, she started 4 weeks before Christmas because we had 2 check-ins before Christmas. Donna hit the ground running. She really got her head down before Christmas and had a good whoosh effect and a good bit of fat loss as well. And yeah, Donna's absolutely smashed it this year. It's like 55 pounds down in a year. Absolutely amazing. And then before and afters are superb. Doing brilliant. Doing absolutely brilliant. Do you know the signs of a fast metabolism? There's no such thing as a fast metabolism, right? Do some people's, if you had two males, both 25, both 15 stone, both 6 foot tall, would their metabolisms be exactly the same? Absolutely to the number, no, but they'd be virtually the same, right? The only thing that would cause a faster metabolism is an overactive thyroid. So hyperthyroidism, so hypothyroidism, or an underactive thyroid. It's like your thyroid is a little gland in your neck and it kind of regulates your metabolism, right? So if you have an underactive thyroid, it turns your metabolism down by about 10% on average. So if you didn't have an underactive thyroid and your metabolism was 2,000 calories a day, if you have an underactive thyroid, right, your metabolisms are probably about 1,800 calories a day. Likewise, if you have hyperthyroidism or an overactive thyroid, yes, that would speed up your metabolism. But again, it's by about 10%. So if your metabolism would be 2,000 and you have an overactive thyroid, it would be 2,200. There's no one sat there going, yeah, well, and if you're like, well, that person can eat whatever they want because they've got a fast metabolism. It doesn't work like that. They might have a very good overall calorie burn, which includes their metabolism, includes their movement, and you see this all the time. I used to work in an advertising agency years ago, and I didn't understand it. There was a lad in there, Stuart it was called, and he was a rep like I was, working in advertising. He was sat in his car, driving up and down motorways, living out of hotels. When we were in the office a couple of days a week, he'd be at the butty shop or he'd be at the chippy and that and the other. And he was absolutely like, and at the time I didn't have a flipping. I'm just sat there being 30 stone, breaking chairs and struggling to fasten my seatbelt in my car, going, how can he eat all this and live on the road and live out of hotels and this, that, and the other? Anyway, first, I'd only been there a few months, and then we ended up having like some sort of work. I've been there about 6 months, something like that. We ended up having like a summer works do, and just having a few beers. Started chatting to him. I said, I've got to ask you, right? You eat absolute junk food, right? How do you keep that? And he told me his routine. And yeah, he sits on the road all the time, but he gets up every morning and did a 10K run. Every morning, without fail. It doesn't matter whether it was snow, wind, rain. He runs 10K every morning. So he gets up and does a 40-minute run every single morning, and he hits the gym, and then he trains weights in the gym 4 times a week. And it doesn't matter. He only booked when he was on the road repping. He only booked a hotel with a gym, right? When he's at home, he's in the gym, and I'm like, plus he had dogs, and he used to go out dog walking. And I was like, when I'm there, and at the time I'm still like, you're still a lucky son. Now, as a personal trainer, stroke weight loss coach, stroke nutritionist, I'm like, right. Stuart used to eat 3,000 calories a day, right? Stuart used to burn 3,000 calories a day because he never stopped, because he had a really good level of movement, right? Whereas before I was like, he's dead lucky, he can eat whatever he wants and he don't gain weight. No such thing. Right. Let me scan down. So going into a third year. Yes, Cam, absolutely. End of Feb 22 I started. Time just flies, mate. Honestly, time just flies. My sister is 18. Can she join as well, or do you have to be a certain age? No, anyone can join. Well, I say anyone can join. I do require you to be over 18. I mean, there's no sort of like age verification on my site, but I have had someone, and this very rarely happens, to be honest with you. I think I've had it once, actually. Someone signed up to the community, and when they sent over their consultation form, they were 16. And I was like, now don't get me wrong, there's no laws to say I can't work out. I'm insured to work with anyone 14 or above. Right, but I was a little bit, and I literally emailed them back and said, look, unless you're 18 or more, before I accept you into the community, I'd just like permission from your parents. So it needs to come from a different email. They might have gone onto Gmail and set up I have no idea, but then I'm covered, because if they decided to pretend to be their parent. Anyway, about 2 hours later, I got an email from the mum saying, yeah, absolutely fine. They just want to know the calories and this, that, and the other. So that was all good. But no, if you're 18 or more, you're an adult, you can come and join the community. Absolutely not a problem whatsoever. You can't find a better planet. Oh, Jen, that's very kind of you to say. That is very kind to say. How tall are you? I'm 6'5". I'm shocked you are 19 stone. You really don't look it. Well, that's very kind of you, Spexy. You can come again. Yeah, I am 19. So, but I'm 6'5". I'm a big guy. I was 19, so I think 19 stone 4 last time I weighed. I was over 20 stone at the beginning of the year. So anyway, I'm probably going to be back up towards 20 stone after Christmas, and then it's just head down and crack on again. But yeah, I am tall, and I'm quite lucky. I am quite lucky for that. You know, and I'm not skinny. I'm not a skinny mini by any means. People have met me in person. I'm definitely not a skinny mini, but I do carry my weight reasonably well because of my height. You know, I'm quite lucky. Quite lucky with that. Guys, someone has just joined the community, so thank you very much for coming on board. Oh, it's Charlotte. Charlotte's joined the community. Guys, if you join the community, when you sign up to the community, you'll get an order email that say, thank you very much for signing up. In that email are some downloads. Download those, and one of the downloads is basically a sign-up confirmation form. It has all the links to join the community, and it has your little consultation form to fill in, and then email back over to me so I can work out your calories for you. Yeah. Time flies, yeah. It really, honestly, it really does fly by. Looking forward to getting started. Brilliant, Charlotte. Thank you very much for coming on board. Sign up. Now, when you join my community, you are basically, once you get in the community, you get your calories worked out, you get a basic guide to bossing your weight loss, you get access to the private Facebook group, you get access to the WhatsApp community side of things. We do Zoom sessions once a week. There's only one this week and one next week. Then we're shutting down for Christmas a little bit. But you get Zoom sessions. We do weight loss coaching lives. Again, the last one of 2024 is this week because we are getting into Christmas mode. But come January, we will be at full pelt in the community. Now, when you are in the community, it's only a £5 for your first month. It's only a £10 a month after that. You are responsible for your own check-ins, logging your own progress, right? If you want to talk to me, we have a weight loss Q&A group in the WhatsApp group, which you can tag me in and ask me any questions. You can also come on the Zoom sessions, come on any of the lives and ask me direct questions, and I will help you. Out. And Charlotte, yeah, welcome on board. Right, let me scan up. Do you suffer from loose skin after big weight loss? Yes. I do. I have quite a lot of loose skin. Loads of this stuff, to be honest with you. I have had some removed off my chest without taking too many clothes off. The easiest way for me to show you my loose skin is on my arm. So I've got quite a lot of loose skin here that you can see on my body. There, I have had some removed there, and I've had some removed off my chest, and then obviously I've got the old bingo wings as well. So yeah, so I do have quite a bit of loose skin, and I don't mind showing my loose skin. I never know if TikTok or anyone's happy with me, but you do see loads of people that prance around without tops on. So yeah, so I do have quite a bit of loose skin. I have had, like, say, a bit removed. Will I have any more removed? I don't actually know. If I'm being honest with you, I don't actually know. Maybe if it causes me some issues, I will. What are the most important lessons you've learned yourself, Neil, in treating yourself well? Oh, that's a deep question. Same, it's really good to see people's amazing stories. What are the most important lessons you've learned yourself in treating yourself well? Yeah, I think, do you know what? One of the biggest things I've learned is if I'm a bit selfish towards me, it actually means I'm very unselfish towards others, right? And what I mean by that is, I used to use the excuse all the time, like, I haven't got time, and people do all the time, I haven't got time to lose weight at the moment because I need to look after my kids or I need to look after my grandparents. And I get that. I understand that, that's an integral and a big part of your life. But, what I've learned is, I sort of used that excuse for ages. I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't do the other. And one of the big things is concentrating on me and being the best I can be means I can be the best for other people. And, I have had to be a bit selfish over the years when I've been losing my weight and stuff. But now, at the weight I'm at now and how healthy I am now, I can look after my mum. My mum's nearly 80 years of age. She's got a leg ulcer. And I never need, whereas if I was still 37 stone and using the excuses of, I used these when I moved back in with my mum when my dad died, right? I was like, I've got to look at, I should be losing weight. And this is me talking to myself, should be losing weight, but no, I've got to look after my mum and this, that, and the other, and so on and so forth. And in the end, I went, no, I am going to lose. And it was hard because, my mum has never really had a massive weight issue. and my mum was a bit of an enabler and a bit of a feeder. And I know I used to hurt her feelings at the start of my journey when she was like, "Oh, I've got you this. I don't want it, Mum. Chuck it in the bin." So I bought it for you. So I don't want it. And maybe the way I came across was a bit. But I had to be a bit like that with her, because if I didn't, she'd keep doing it. And I had to be a bit cruel to be kind in a way. And then my mum goes to the total opposites, because then like every time I was having a bit of chocolate, she's like, "Oh, I thought you couldn't. Oh, well, are you all right having that? I thought you weren't allowed it." And I'm like, "No, Mum, everything in moderation's fine." So that was something I learned. And the biggest lesson I've learned is I never actually knew how much obesity ruined my life, because I'd never known any different. Does that kind of make sense? Like, it's like if you've always been in it, like whether it's physical or mental abusive relationships, you don't actually realize what a great relationship should be or could be. You're just used to your physical abuse, and that's what my relationship was with obesity. I didn't know any different, so that was just the norm to me. Now I've lost my weight, I realised the prison I was in, and I think that does drive me on to help others. It really, really does, because I can drive down, and I don't judge anyone. There's absolutely zero judgment from me. I've been judged all my life, and I'll never judge anyone, right? I just take everyone as they come. Everyone's equal in my eyes. But it breaks, I'll drive down the street and I will see someone that's, morbidly obese, and it breaks my heart, because I know exactly what they're going through. When I get clients that come on board with me that are, that are knocking on kind of the way I was, and I'm 6'5" and I was 37 stone, and 6'5", 37 stone is different to, but if you're 5'8" and 37 stone, you're a lot heavier than I was at 6'5". With the same weight, but your frame's smaller, so you would feel more obese. And I was, morbidly obese, don't get me wrong. So, it absolutely breaks me. It does. It really does break my heart. But that also then drives me on to keep doing what I do. And I think it's one of the reasons why, a lot of people are saying, "Why do you put out so much free content? And why do you do this? And why do you do that?" And I'm like, I just want to help people. And, by putting out the free content, hopefully a few people will come along and go, "Yeah, well, we're happy to give you a couple of quid to coach us." And that sort of makes it worthwhile. Does that kind of make sense? So, yeah, I think the life lessons, definitely had to be a little bit selfish to be unselfish. And I never realised, like I say, something I've learned about the way I lived the first 33 years of my life, really. I've been morbidly obese from being 8-9 years of age, and I started my journey at 33 years of age. So I never realised what it was doing to me, until I've lost the weight. If that makes sense. Would you say after losing so much weight, your love life got easier, such as talking to others, etc.? Yeah, absolutely. Well, to be fair, I mean, 11 months into my weight loss journey, I met Rachel. And do you know what? I'll be honest with you. I always, from being 19 to being 27, I was always in relationships. I didn't really suffer that much, and then I split up with a girl when I was 27, and then I stayed single pretty much until I met. I point to Rachel because she's in the room there. But yeah, me and Rachel met 11 months after I started my weight loss journey, and that's the only experience I've had, really, because, like I say, she's my wife. So it's like, but it was, absolutely. I think, in terms of, I was still well over 20 stone when I met Rachel. I was probably about 27 stone, 28 stone. But yeah, of course, your confidence improves. Your confidence does improve. I mean, I worked massively on my mental health for the first 12 months of my weight loss journey. So it's not just fact of confidence improved. My self-esteem improved. I learned to love me. If you can't love yourself, you can't love anyone else, right? And that's kind of the way it works, Thanks for sharing those thoughts. They made perfect sense, and I appreciate it a lot. Hey, Alice, not a problem at all. You can't pour from an empty cup, so you have to work on you to help others. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. you know. And it's, yeah, absolutely. And it's a great way to phrase it. You generally can't. You've like I say, I didn't realize how broken I was as an obese person. And like I say, you don't realize it until something changes. You don't realize it. It's like you might do the same job for years and years and years, and you get ingrained in this job and you become kind of institutionalized to it. And you might hate it, but it's your comfort zone. And this is human nature. We can't step away from our comfort zone. We can't step away. We find it very, very hard. Like I say, and I think, it's a fear of the unknown. It is a massive fear of the unknown, and it's funny because, like I say, I've always known being morbidly obese. And, 6 months into my weight loss journey, I knew I'd cracked it. I knew I was going to get to a point where I'd be I didn't know whether I was going to get down to like the weight I got down to. I never even thought I'd become a personal trainer or anything like that. But I kind of knew, I'd sort of, I kind of knew I'd cracked it. And it scared me a little bit because I've been unhappy most of my life. And from being unhappy, I blamed my obesity. And I was like, what was if I lose all my weight and I'm still really unhappy? Where do I go then? And it gets scary because you're stepping into something that you don't know. And it's kind of like better the devil you know, isn't it? Right? That old saying, better the devil you know. And it's kind of like, I'd rather, and this is why we stay in the same house, we go to the same place on holiday, we work for the same company, we stay in sometimes the same relationships because, you might not be the happiest, but what happens if the alternative, another job, you're more unhappy? What happens if I'm more unhappy being 18 stone than I am being 37 stone? Now thinking about it, it sounds daft because that's just not going to happen. But, well, you say that. I mean, it could happen. But, it's a tough one, And this is what I'm doing now. I'm working on myself now to help my kids fed up and feeling tired. Brilliant, Lauren. And you can, look, you've got to do your journey for you. That's the honest truth of it. You have to do your journey for you. But you can use lots of things as motivation. Your kids should be number one. Your kids should be number one. You've got to want to lose weight for you. But, to drive you on with that, your kids, they don't want to be looking after you when you're in your 50s or 60s and you can't move. And, you want to be able to, look after them the best you can. You want to give them your I literally know, and this sounds, and I suppose it's not my place, but I actually know someone that lives in the next village, and they are they're a lady. She's morbidly obese. She can't walk. She's non-weight bearing or very little weight bearing. She rides around in a mobility scooter, and she has a 10-year-old child, and that child's her carer at 10 years old, right? And she won't. And that's not like the child's employed by the council to be a carer. No, that's unofficial. But the way she talks to that child when I see her in the shop, when I'm just like, she's your carer at 10 years old. The pressure on that child to, I'm like, if that's how you have her running around in a shop in public, what are you having her doing in your house running around? Right? And it's heartbreaking, So definitely, your kids should definitely be number one. Your kids should definitely be number one. I took some time last year to work out my mental health and now back on plan with my weight. Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we need to concentrate on this. But I'll be honest with you, a lot of people are like, I need to sort this out, then I'll sort my weight out. You can do both together. You genuinely can. I did both together. And I'm not saying it's easier, but unfortunately, our obesity or our weight issues can be a big factor with this. So if we can work on this alongside getting the scales to come down, it will kind of all come together. If that makes sense, it'll all, it'll make it easier. Yeah, it'll make it easier. We've had some deep conversations tonight. I don't mind that. I like that. I like getting into the nitty-gritty. I think we need to understand these things. I think, because I always say obesity is a mental health disorder. That's what it is, And when you're obese, would you say it's growing up with bad food habits or something deeper? Deeper for me. I have talked about it a lot on here. I'm not going to go into it now because we're coming to the end of the live. But yeah, don't get me wrong, bad food habits as well, the contributing factors. But I started using food as my emotional, I don't say crux. Is that the right word? But it was I started using food as my support, um, or my coping mechanism, my distraction from life when I was about 8 or 9 years of age. Right, and I was fortunate enough to live in a household where food was readily available, and I was unfortunate enough to have a mum that would do anything in a way lovely, but in another way, massive. My mum was an enabler, and she spoiled me, right, and I don't mind, and she just she just wanted to make me happy, and I would, and whether, some people that was love and attention, for me, it was more food. And I grew up in my mum would buy a multi-pack bag of crisps. And if I ate them in a day, next day there'd be another multi-pack bag of crisps in the cupboard. I didn't need, she fueled my addiction. And you can gain addictions that early, and, I had issues, emotional issues around my dad. Nothing that some people would think would be that serious, but for me it was at the time. And it's just the way I am as a person. I always craved affection from my dad and never got it, and I never understood it. Right? What did give me affection was food. Also, I thought, food never shouted at me. Food always was there for me whenever I wanted it. Whenever I needed to feel good about myself, I could go to the fridge and it never turned me down. It was always by my side. And yeah, I just constantly use food as a distraction, as a coping mechanism. And then that gets worse as you get older. It was just that it became the norm for me. Every time I had a bad day, food. Every time, I got turned down by a girl I was messaging, or not even messaging back in the day. You didn't even have phones. It'd be food. Every time, and I always took things really personally. Whereas now I couldn't give it. Sometimes now I'll see a couple of mates that are out. I'm like, oh, they've not. Back in the day, I'd be like, oh, they've not messaged me to say they were going out. And now I'd be like commenting on it. Or I message, what are you up to? Where's my invite? And they're like, trust me, we've just finished. We've just done this. We've just done the other. We're having one beer. Because we look at Instagram. I think social media is a nightmare for it. We look at something and we think it's like, oh, people make out social media like something so much more than it actually is. Whereas but generally it doesn't. I live a very simple, I'm a bit of a hermit at times, to be honest with you. And in some ways, I've lost quite a lot of friends through that. But in other ways, it's massively helped me on my journey, if that makes sense. But yeah, it was definitely a deeper attachment to I use food. It's an addiction. It becomes an addiction. And anyone that's addicted to something, it's because it's your distraction, right? Some people it's alcohol, some people it's gambling, some people it's drugs. Some people, when they spend an afternoon in the bookies, they don't care that they're gambling their house away, right? While they're sat there in the bookies, the rest of the world doesn't exist, right? Same when you're looking at the bottom of a bottle of vodka. Well, when I'm sat in my room, when I was a kid, and I'm tucking into crisps and chocolate and biscuits, or a big fat Chinese, nothing else mattered in the world. Nothing else existed. It was just me wrapped up in this takeaway. All the reality of life that was kicking me in the gut, left, right, and centre, it was just for that 5 seconds, for that 10 seconds, that 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes while I'm eating, it was gone. And the worse my mental health got, the more I craved the distraction. Therefore, I just constantly ate. And that's the vicious cycle, and you've got to break it. You've got to break that cycle. Dan says, it is deep. It is really deep. But I think, a lot of people that don't understand weight issues, they just look at someone and go, oh, stop eating. I think of that. Oh, yeah, that'd help. That'd help, wouldn't it? And it's just like saying to an alcoholic, well, why don't you stop drinking? Well, God, yeah, that's it. That's what I'll do. Why didn't I think of that? And it's just absolutely, and really, I would say this: there's different levels of obesity. There's different levels of weight issue. I have different levels of weight issue. I don't grade it right there. They're level 1, they're level 2, they're level 3, they're level 4. I don't look at it like that. But someone that comes to me that's 3 stone overweight for weight loss coaching, I can't treat that client exactly the same as someone that comes to me that's 30 stone overweight. You can't do it, right? There's different levels, It's same like there's different levels of alcoholism. If you have an alcoholic drink every day, you're an alcoholic, right? Doesn't mean you're sitting on a park bench drinking whiskey out of a brown paper bag, but if you're someone that, no, every night I have to have a couple of G&Ts or a glass of wine with my tea or something like that, well, that's alcoholism, right? You're using that as a coping. I've finished for the day, I've got on the sofa, I'm chilling with beans, I just need my glass of wine, that relaxes me. That's your go-to for that little distraction from the day for 5 or 10 minutes. But to treat someone, who has a couple of beers every day, to say their alcoholism's the same as someone that, like I say, I used to have a mate that was an alcoholic and he just hid it. He used to come round and he'd be like, no, I'm sober at the moment. And he'd come round with 3 bottles of orange Lucozade with the seals broken on them. Oh, you're sober, you Phil? Right, okay, that's all right. And he'd sit there and he'd sip away and we're, and it's, that's serious. You're masking it. It's like secret eating, isn't it? So there's got to be different levels, and we have to be honest about that. Beverly, love your candid approach. Cheers, Bill. I just talk from me. I don't try it. I don't claim to be a psychologist or a psychiatrist. I just talk from my own experience and the way I feel. But I think if that resonates with other people, and it might just, if I talk the way I talk, it might just trigger something else. It might be a totally different reason. People always say, what motivates you? Well, what motivates me won't motivate you. What led me to emotionally eating probably didn't lead you to emotionally eating. We're all different people. But I think if it just triggers things, it's good. It makes people think. And I think a lot of people, and I thought this, when I was growing up, I thought I was overweight just because I was greedy, greedy and lazy. And I used to fight with myself. Why can't you stop eating? I used to ask myself that. Why don't you just stop eating? Right. And then that's when you go on a diet. Right. Well, I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to eat this and I'm not going to eat that. And then 2 months down the line, 3 months down the line, you're back eating the way you were. Why? Why can't you stop it? Because it's emotion. It's mentality. It's a mental health issue. It's an addiction. You can't just turn them off. You can try. Right, but you've got to work at it and you've got to understand it. And as soon as I started realizing that my obesity was connected more to this than this, that's when I really started to be able to work on it, and that's allowed me to. It doesn't mean that I didn't do weight loss like everyone else does weight loss. You do have to eat less high calorie foods. You do have to move more. You do have to do it if you want to do it properly. But that's the way it is. And again, that's what I do with a lot of my coaching. It's why I do a lot of these lives. I just try and open up and I try and get anything just to trigger something in your head to go, that's why I've struggled for 30 years trying to lose weight. Because the only way I've tried to lose weight for the last 30 years is by going and seeing Barbara at Thursday night at Slimming World. Right? And I get on the scales every week and I've been fighting with my weight for years. When really, the honest truth is, I use food as an emotional attachment. I started overeating, as a kid because I was lonely or I was depressed or, my mum and dad used to fall out all the time and they were abusive towards each other. And my distraction from hearing them arguing was eating in my bedroom. And that was it then. Food's got me. And then from that point, every time I have a bad day at work, every time I had an argument with my partner, every time my kids peed me off, every time someone looked at me funny down the street, how do I stop? Right, I can't get someone stared at me funny today down the street. How do I get that look out of my head? How do I get that memory out of my head? Oh, food, chocolate, crisps on the couch at night time. It distracts you and takes you away from it. And that's what it is, like I say. And I'll never backtrack on it. Like I say, obesity is a mental health disorder. It is. And obviously, depending on how bad your mental health is, around food will then determine on where your weight issue gets to. Does that kind of make sense? Please, could you describe the contents of the monthly one-to-one versus the group subscription? Okay, so the main difference is with the one-to-one plan. So if you stay in my community, it's a tenner a month, right? If you do the one-to-one plan, it's £30 a month. So for the extra 20 quid, you basically get me stood by your side, right? So with the community, in terms of, you get like the WhatsApp groups and the Facebook groups, whatever you do, that's all that's all the same, right? But when you join the community, you get given a calorie breakdown from me. You get given a guide to bossing your weight loss. And then it's kind of down to you then to put that all into practice and get at it. And then, you can talk to other people in the community. You can post your results in the community and stuff like that. But you won't post them to me. If you're on the one-to-one plan, every 2 weeks, you send me your weight, your measurements, your steps, and I log that into a progress sheet, and then I'll give you feedback on how you are doing. So really for me, and then in between, if you need to talk to me, you can talk to me directly through WhatsApp. Whereas if you're in the community, you can't directly talk to me because it's not one-to-one, it's group. So you can talk to me through the group, but you can't talk to me directly. So it's kind of down to how much support you think you need, how much accountability you think you need. And also it's down to like finances, I suppose, in a way, like you're always going to get the most from me in my one-to-one plan, but I fully understand not everyone can afford £30 a month. But I run my coaching in line with Slimming World, and Slimming World has 100,000 members. So if you can afford to do Slimming World, you can afford to work with me, right? So that's kind of how I've always done my coaching, as it were. So, that's kind of different. So if you're someone that's like, no, I want to check in with you, Neil. I want you keeping an eye on my progress directly. I want you to fill in my progress sheet for me. I want you to give me feedback on how I've done the last 2 weeks. And sometimes the feedback for the last 2 weeks is you're doing great. Right? My plan's so thorough and straightforward that, 75% of my clients, when I get a check-in, they've lost weight, everything's good, and it's just thumbs up and crack on for the next 2 weeks. Then I do get 25% that are struggling a little bit, and I'll put a bit more effort in. But, someone might do great for 4 months, and then they just start struggling a little bit. So, and then the people that were struggling for a couple of months are now doing great. So it kind of evens itself out. So that's the main difference. That is the main difference. In the community, you get the community. In the one-to-one, you get the community and me for an extra 20 quid a month. So it just depends. Now, you can join my community for a £5, go in there for a month. And if you're like, no, I want to be on plan with Neil, I want Neil to keep tabs on me and make sure everything's going great, then we can upgrade you to the one-to-one. Likewise, if you join the one-to-one and 2 to 3 months down the line, you've checked in with me, everything's going swimmingly, you're losing every check-in, you're doing your steps, everything's going great, you might go, yeah, I don't need one-to-one anymore, Neil. You've got me on the right path. You've laid the foundation. You've pushed me off. I'm in the boat now. You've pushed me off the jetty, and I can sail this thing on my own. You might downgrade to the community. So you might go, I do have clients that'll do, like, I've had 3 people this week that are coming on the one-to-one plan in January, right? And they did the one-to-one plan last January. So they did it January, February, March, and then for the rest of the year they've done community, but they want to get the head right down in the new year, and they're coming back on plan for 3 months. And then they're probably, they might do January, February, March on plan and then go back into the community for the rest of the year. So you can swap about however you want to. Yeah. Amanda saying, good evening, Neil. Good evening, Amanda. Hope you are all good. Nothing personal. I am going. I have run over 4 minutes. I was meant to go in. If you wonder why I've got a plaster on, it isn't on that thing. It isn't on the wrong finger. It is on the like index finger. Why does everything go wrong at Christmas? So I put some washing in yesterday, and I went in. We've got like a utility room outside, and when I went in to get the washing, there was just water all over the floor, and I'm like, "What's this doing now?" I didn't think anything of it. I thought that's from the washing machine. I was like, "Oh, I wonder if it's just something." I don't know. I didn't think anything of it. And then I put another wash on today, and more water's pissed. So basically, my washing machine's pissing out. And then when I went to get the washing out, it was sodden. It's like normally when I put it on a cycle, it spins afterwards and all the water drains. So it's not draining water somewhere and it's just leaking out. Does anyone know anything about washing machines? I assume it's something to do with the pump. Anyway, I took the pump like the filter out, and I've had a thing in, and there was like a lace wrapped around it. So I'm wondering if it's just not been pumping right. So anyway, for me, pissing about there, I decided to slice my finger. Oh, that's why I've got a plaster on. You didn't need to know that. I just thought I'd explain it because, like, why have you got a plaster on your finger, Neil? Anyway, yeah, there we go. Block drainage pipe, mate. I have no idea. I kind of last time it did this, right? I went in like the pump filtery bit, and there was a dog poo bag that was wrapped around it that had obviously been in one of my pockets. It was a clean dog poo bag. It didn't have dog poo in it, by the way, before someone else. No, that had been in the bin. Right? It was just right, and I pulled it out, and it seemed to sort it out. Now, it's one of the old-fashioned saying, it owes us nothing. We bought it, we've had it 10 years, our washing machine, and I think it was about 300, 400 quid when we bought it. So it owes us absolutely nothing. But, like, it's just a faffing it around Christmas. Like, do I get someone out to come and have a look at it and mend it? Or do I just bite the bullet and go to flipping somewhere and buy a new one and just get them to bring me a new one in so I know it's right for I have no idea. Anyway, I've got to go outside now and check. I've just put another wash on. So am I going to be come to a flood of water in the utility room, or is it going to, as me prodding about and pulling this lace out or whatever that was wrapped around the pump? So now I have no idea. Anyway, we'll see what happens. Something always breaks right. I know, absolutely. I feel like after breaking my camera and then getting a brand new replacement for 85 quid, even though I didn't have an insurance plan, I feel like I'm on a winner, and then suddenly my washing machine breaks. Anyway, I'll sort it out. It's not an issue. It could be something worse. My mum lives 2 doors down from me, and she's got a washing machine, so we're all good. I'll just need to get it sorted out. Anyway, right, that's it. I'm out of here. Have an amazing evening. It was great to chat. We'll be joining you in January if there's space. Yes, absolutely, guys. I have got 5. I've had someone sign up today. If you want to start on the 6th of January, there are 5 spaces left. You need to sign up before the 18th of December if you want to start on the 6th of January. If you sign up after the 18th of December, you'll just start later in January. It's absolutely fine. But if you want to get going straight away in January, there's 5 spaces left for the 6th of December. Once they're sold out, that's full, and then I'll open spaces up for the 13th, then the 20th, and so on and so forth. So if you want to get signed up, start straight away in January, get signed up now. I'll write your plan up. I'll send it over this week for you. So you'll have it. You can have a look at it. You can get it into your head before Christmas, and then you'll officially start on the 6th of January. When you sign up now or you sign up in January, the cost is exactly the same. It's $29.99 now to sign up, and then your first subscription will go out when you start in January. If you sign up in January, you'll pay $29.99 to sign up, and then your subscription will go out when you start in January. So if you sign up now, you'll spend 30 quid in December and then 30 quid in January, whereas if you sign up in January, you'll spend $29.99 to sign up in January and $29.99 for your first subscription when you start in January. It'll only be a week or so down the line. So if you want to spread the cost out, get signed up now and we will get you on board. Right, it's been a pleasure as always. I'll be back on TikTok, just TikTok. Facebook and YouTube is just Monday morning, Monday evening, Thursday morning, Thursday evening. Every other live I do is just solely on TikTok. So I'll be back on TikTok. 8:30 in the morning, literally 11 hours and 20 minutes. I will be sat here chatting to you. Right, TikTok, have a great evening, and I will hopefully see you tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. if you are free. And YouTube, Facebook, thank you very much, you lovely, lovely people. I will see you Thursday morning, 8:30 a.m. for the next YouTube, Facebook stream.